Great. So this is episode 3, and I'm with Lindsay. We met, I think it was actually late last year,
Yeah.
for I ended up choosing to write a chapter for a book called the Sovereign series, which Lindsay, you've also written for as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we just honestly we connected. She was the lead author, so she supported me during the entire process, and we ended up learning that we have much more in common than we thought.
Yeah.
And so, anyone that knows me and my upbringing is I was born and raised Jehovah's Witness, and I had left at age of 20. And it turns out that Lindsay actually was also raised in the same community as well.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I guess before we dive in, I would love to just like learn a little bit more about like, yeah, like where are you currently? A little bit more about yourself.
Oh God. Okay. Where do I start? So I currently live in rural Alberta, the middle of nowhere. I was born and raised in Calgary as a Jehovah's Witness. Um, and I left when I was about 26, I think I was when I left, somewhere around there. Um, and yeah, I do all kinds of things here. I have a beauty bar in Hannah, Alberta, where I do aesthetics, I do skincare. I'm also in birth work. I'm a holistic doula or birth keeper, whatever term you want to use, but I support moms through free birth. Um, and I have a tallow line. And what else do I do? I do all kinds of things, but mostly I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have two little boys, and my husband works full time, so I just kind of do all the things and have fun raising my babies.
Love it. Yeah. Yeah, and if you don't mind sharing a little bit more, I feel like we did touch on it last year. I feel like we went through like a series. Well, we know, I think we had like one like 3 hour phone call.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm so used to doing voice notes back and forth with a lot of different people, close friends, and everything like that. You get the real candid, you get like, you touch on all like I guess the feelings that come with it that I think take it a bit further than text. But yeah, I think we actually spoke for a few hours. We were
Yeah.
on the phone for a little bit. And one thing that I find so amazing is I feel like you and we speak much the same language. And there's just this understanding, even though we've never known each other up until now. And so, yeah, if you feel comfortable and yeah, if you want to share a little bit of your upbringing and kind of your transformation as you transitioned into the life that you have created today.
Yeah. So my upbringing, I would say, is very not typical of most Jehovah's Witnesses. My dad stopped being a witness when I was quite young. And he never like tried to get us to leave. He never tried to get my mom to leave or whatever, but um, he just wasn't part of the Jehovah's Witness community, like in our family, you know what I mean? Even though he was born and raised in it, and so was my mom, it was very much ingrained in like our entire family culture. All my aunts and uncles, all my grandparents, all my cousins, everybody in my family is Jehovah's Witness. So the fact that my dad kind of left was like a really big deal. And my mom would kind of go through periods where she would be what we called at the time inactive. I think they've changed the terms now, but whatever. She'd be inactive, like she wouldn't go to meetings for a really long time, and then we'd go start going back, and then so it was very much like back and forth for me. Um, so I found that really confusing. But I did always know, like, we don't celebrate birthdays, we don't celebrate Christmas, we don't do the things, like, we're not part of the world. Even if we're not going to meetings, like, we're still Jehovah's Witnesses. So it was just very not typical, I would say, of most Jehovah's Witness upbringings. But my sister, my older sister, asked to start studying and going back to meetings on her own in a period when my mom was inactive. When she was like, I think I was like maybe 10 and she was 13-ish. She really had that like spiritual, like she wanted to go and have the community and whatever. And so my mom gave me the choice. She said, like, I'm not doing anything right now to like raise you guys spiritually, but you know what's right and what's wrong. Do you want to start studying too? Um, and I was like, well, yeah. And I don't really know why I said yes, but I think I just thought I was supposed to. Um, so it was that. My sister and I studied with a pioneer sister, and we were going to meetings whether my mom was going or not. And everyone always just told us like how proud they were of us and like, you guys are doing it on your own. That's so good, regardless of like what your parents do. And I think that just made me feel really good. Like I was like doing the right thing. Um, and for like a little girl whose family was like kind of not broken, but like my parents were separated at that point and whatever, it was very much like that sense of community and, you know, what I needed at the time. And just like all the praise that you got being like, yeah, you're doing it without your parents. Like all, you know, like kind of manipulative, I think, of the community, but in their eyes, that was the right thing for me to do. And then that was kind of it. Then I got baptized when I was 16. Um, Again, I think just because that's what I was supposed to do. I felt like, yeah, you had your community, you had your, like, why would you ever want to go away? Every single person you know and you're allowed to talk to is a Jehovah's Witness. Like, you're not allowed to talk to anybody else at school, um, or like be really close friends with them or anything. So that was that. But I still always had my mom who was like the bad Jehovah's Witness mom, where she was like, we still have to be part of this world. That doesn't mean we should be like total losers. Like that's what she used to say. She's like, you can get like 2 ear piercings. Like people like thought that was really bad. And my mom
Yeah,
was
that was
like,
a
are
real
like,
thing to do.
right?
Yeah.
That was like such a rebellious thing to do. And we had like our cartilage pierced, me and my sister, like things like that. My mom was like, who cares? Like, I don't think God cares about your piercings that much. Like, so my mom was like the bad Jehovah's Witness mom, and that she still like let us have a normal life.
Yeah.
I was allowed to do like extracurricular activities and stuff. Like it was not nearly as strict as I would say most Jehovah's Witnesses. So that was really nice. I kind of got both sides of it. Um, so yeah, that was that. And then I started pioneering and I was in a language group and all the things. And that was what I'd always worked towards. Like I always wanted to be in a language group. I wanted to like be a need grader. Like I wanted to like travel to different countries and like be a missionary. Like that's what I wanted. And when I was like 25, I got that. I There was a language group that was opening in my congregation and I got to be part of it, and that was like so exciting. That was everything I wanted. And so I quit my full-time job and I started pioneering, and my mental health tanked so bad. And I was like suicidal. Like I was so just depressed. Like you saw a picture of me. I sent you a picture of um like me with my family, and like you can see like I look so unhealthy and so unhappy. Like I'm smiling and it like doesn't reach my eyes. Like I'm just there. And I was like, yeah, just so depressed. And I had a conversation with my dad at that point where I said, like, why did you leave? And he told me his reasons. And I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I was like, I'm not happy. Like, I should be. And I'm not. Like, I'm broke because I can't work full time. I wasn't allowed to get a real education. Like, I just am surviving and I'm not happy. And he was like, then don't do it anymore. Like, it's okay. He's
Mm-hmm.
like, I think we need to get your mental health on track so you can make like decisions from a place of clarity and not, you know, out of depression. And he's like, and then you can make these hard decisions. But he's like, for right now, I think we just need to get you healthy. And he's like, I think you need to move back home because I wasn't in Calgary anymore at the time. And he just like moved me home to Calgary. He's like, you can live with me, you can live with your mom. I don't care, but like, we need to keep an eye on you. Like, I was like on suicide watch. Like, um, and so yeah, I just like came back to Calgary and restarted and just didn't go to meetings. And I was so happy. Like, I was free of like all the expectations that people were putting on me, that I was putting on myself. And I just remember coming to the conclusion that, like, if I never feel good enough in this organization when I'm doing my best and I am so burnt out, then, like, this can't be what God wants for me. Like, it just can't be. Like, this doesn't make sense to me. And my dad had kind of given me permission to look at that as opposed to if I were to talk to any other Jehovah's Witness, they'd be like, you're doing the right thing. It's okay, right? Like, no one is encouraging. You know what I mean? Like not in the real ways that matter.
Yeah.
And they're just like, "Yep, keep burning yourself out. You're doing the right thing. God's happy with that." Like, and my dad was one who gave me permission to like actually slow down and take a step back.
Because
And
when you were experiencing that, kind of what was the dialogue? Was it just like you are serving this mission and you need it's almost like subliminal messaging of like the self-sacrifice needs that it goes against like your personal needs. Is
yeah,
that kind of how it was framed? Because I never pioneered. Um, and I've kind of heard that that can be kind of a theme, but I even experienced it without even doing that. It's like I always knew the religion as, and I'm a very hypersensitive person. I'm a very like emotionally intelligent person. I feed on the mood and the feelings of others. So I am like a sponge when it comes to it. I think there's other personality types that interpret it differently, but I always found the fear, shame, and guilt so intensely. And I'd imagine when you're in a position of it is almost a form of hierarchy because it's probably the highest point that a woman in the faith can get to, that is,
without being married. Yeah.
yes, yes, and that is the example. You're leading by example, and so there's just no limit when you are expected to be perfect in a very imperfect world.
Yes. So that, yeah, that's very much it. Is like you're just expected to be, yeah, self-sacrificing and set the example. And if you're burnt out, like good for you. You're doing the right thing for God. He's so happy. You're giving everything to him. Good for you. Like it's so like it's just so unhealthy. But at the same time, yeah, like that's the highest a woman can get in the organization without being married. Um, and yeah, like you're expected to, other people come to you with their problems, like other sisters. And like, I was expected to set like a good example for like the young ones and whatever. And just so many things, like you're under so much scrutiny. Um, and I still just never felt like I was good enough. Like it was like kind of this really severe imposter syndrome, but also while like burning myself out to just do everything that was expected of me. And it was just so much. Like it just put a lot on me. And like I said, like a lot of financial strain because it's not like you're allowed to go to school before that. Like you're not allowed to go past high school. Um, and then you have to like work part time to dedicate all this time going door to door. So it was like a lot on my mental health, obviously. Like, yeah,
Hmm.
it's a lot. And again, it's a lot for anybody, but when you're like pioneering and you're like putting yourself in that position, it's so much more.
Hmm. Yeah, I can relate to you in so many different ways. Like, being a child of divorce myself, I remember, although it wasn't because you can't decipher and because you're not really exposed to any other way of life, like you can't really put your finger on it. And like your intuition's telling you something, but you're also not taught to have an intuition. Like you don't even know what that term is. So you can feel like something's off. And then you naturally are being conditioned to people please. And I think being a good person and caring about others is super important, but it's taken to such a far degree. And so there is like this pressure to appease the community because you're trying to be the best that you can in anything that you know. And I found after I was like 18, 19, and I didn't like myself. And I just like noticed there's like inflammation in my body from stress. And developed an eating disorder just because that was like the one thing in my life that I could control.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it gave me some form of validation when I felt like I wasn't getting any sort of validation in any other way. It felt like I was in a cage emotionally. Um, and I feel like, and I'm sure you can relate to this, and I would love to deep dive on it, is like as you're saying, kind of your journey into leaving and stuff like that, and integrating, like even to this day, even the last 3 days, I'm still peeling back the layers of what subconscious, deep rooted beliefs are still ingrained into my nervous system, into my psyche. Um, Trying to give myself that grace, it's still quite difficult to do. And so I'd be very curious to know your process and how you've navigated it since you've transitioned out and you continue to.
It's such a tough thing. Like, I resonate with what you're saying so much. Like, it's like a deep rooted, like, my husband grew up in a very Christian, like, religious household. And it's not the same. Like, it's just not, like, unless you've been through it, you can't understand the level of, like, brainwashing that really takes place in, like, high control religions. It's just such a hard thing to understand for so many people. Like, well, why can't you just like get over that? And it's like, well, no, like you don't understand. This is actual brainwashing from the time that you are a child when you're raised in it. That you're just always taught that, like, yeah, you're inferior as a woman for sure, and that you're never good enough. And that's what high control religions do, is they break you down so that you're reliant on them. And we endured that from like day one, like from the day we were born. So there are so many layers. Like, I don't even know that I've fully integrated and like peeled them all back. Like, I don't even know. There's just so much to it. It's
Mhm.
like such an ingrained like thought process. And every now and then I have to like kind of stop and be like, is this my thought process, or is this what I was taught to think? I still have to, like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to really stop and think like,
Yeah.
okay, if that hadn't have happened, if that brainwashing hadn't have happened, like if they hadn't instilled that in me, like what would I think on my own? What do I think? Not what I was taught to think. Do I actually think right now in like this present moment? And it's really hard.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so interesting. It's so true. What was like a breaking point for you? For me, I remember when I left, and anyone that doesn't know kind of about the Jehovah's Witness religion, like it is a very closed pocket of this community that feels like the end of the world is going to happen. And when it happens, Armageddon is going to hit, and anyone that has rejected the religion and is a bad person is going to just literally cease to exist, which is a great way to keep people in line that don't know any differently or are very fearful based on, how we see the world is, right? If you think that the world is doom and gloom, it's very easy to get caught up in that. And so a big moment for me is I remember having this epiphany as I had left, that I'm like, wow, I'm probably going to die, and I think I need to make the best out of this life, so I better make it count. But like it doesn't happen like the second that you leave. It's like a transition of different experiences, and then you start to realize that perhaps the way that they were seeing it, they said it was unconditional love, and God is unconditional love, but you realize that it's extremely conditional.
Yes. It's the condition is so there. Like, none of my family talks to me now. I know you have the same experience, like other the ones who've also left. Um, but like will not talk to me. Like the conditions, like people that I've known my entire life, like friends that I've had for years and years and years, and like people that I considered so close to me, just shut me out. Just
Yeah.
like cut you right off. The condition is so conditional. Like, yeah, so it's like, it's unconditional love, and this is how we show love, but we also have to protect ourselves. And it's like, well, if your faith is that strong, then like nothing I say or do in my own life is going to like influence you. Like, if it's that delicate, if your faith is that delicate, then yeah, you
Yep.
probably should not talk to me. Like, really. But anyways, yeah, I think my kind of like epiphany moment really didn't happen until years after I left, because once I left, I very much was the same as you. I just accepted that I was going to die at Armageddon. God was going to kill me, and I was just going to live my life. And I remember just saying like, I can't do this anymore. And I could see like the cracks in the foundation of like the congregation and of like the values, and like just like I could see it. And I was like, if God wants me to stay in an like in his organization, his chosen organization, and he's letting imperfect men run it, then like I can't trust imperfect men. Maybe I can trust him to some degree, but like I can't stay in this because it seems really like not okay. And if he wants me to burn myself out and be miserable, then also that's not a God that I love and I want to serve. Like if this is what he wants for me, I can't do it. And if he wants to kill me at the end because of it, then oh well, I'll be dead. I won't know any different. Like I'll just accept that fate. That's okay with me.
Yeah.
But I think my real like aha moment when I kind of stopped believing that really didn't come until after I had my first son. I remember having, I think it totally freaked my husband out, honestly, but I had really bad postpartum depression. And a large part of it was because I had him right after COVID, and I was really terrified of like the world and everything that was going on. And like I could just see like wars coming. Like I could just see it. And I was like, oh my God, the Jehovah's Witnesses were right. Like this is the start of Armageddon. Like it's happening. And I just remember looking at my husband and looking at my son, like my like newborn little son in my hand, and being like, I wish we didn't have him. God's gonna kill us. Like there, like I wish I didn't bring him into this world where like I just brought him into this world to be killed. Like
Hmm.
Armageddon is happening around us. Like it's happening right now. And he was like, God's not gonna kill our baby, Lindsay. And I was like, no, but he is. Like this is happening. And I was so scared and so freaked out. And that was kind of like the moment I was like, oh, I still have a lot of deprogramming to do. Like I have a lot of like PTSD from like the things I was taught. And
Hmm.
I really need to like deal with this.
I
And I think that was kind of like, yeah,
I'm gonna
my
add to that
epiphany.
too. I remember when we were chatting, and I was kind of, I don't even know if I was just oblivious for some of it because there's certain things that are deeply rooted. But I remember you specifically were talking about some of the earlier literature for children, and you're like, if you look at it, it is scary. Like
Yes.
it is there to like literally scare you straight to
Yes.
their narrative.
Well, I even had that conversation with my dad not that long ago because my mom had sent me like there's two specific books for children. Um, like within the Jehovah's Witness organization, or at least when I was little, there was one, and then as I got older, there was a second. And my mom had sent both of them.
Yeah, the Book
Pardon?
of Revelations, was it?
No, it's the Bible storybook,
Bible storybook.
and then there's the Learn from the Great Teacher book that came
Mhm.
out when we were a little bit older.
Yeah.
But I remember reading to like my niece and nephew, or not my niece and nephew, my cousins and stuff. Um, but yeah, like my mom had sent them both to my son when he was born. And I just remember being like so upset by it that she sent them. And my dad was like, Lindsay, it's not a big deal. Like, you don't need to be mad at your mom for that. Like, they're not together. Like, but he was just like, Lindsay, I think you're overreacting. Like, you don't need to be upset. Like, they're actually really good books to like teach kids Bible stories. And I was like, Dad, no, they're not. And like, I remember the one specifically in my brain that I feel like is the one that was like playing in my head when I had my son was like, Noah's Ark. There's like, I don't know if you remember the picture of Noah's Ark. There's all the people drowning, and one of them is holding a baby. There's like a mom holding her baby, and they're like drowning.
Yeah.
It's like terrifying.
What was it? I
And I'm
think
like,
Noah's
Dad,
on, isn't Noah on the boat and he's like like isn't he there like standing righteously or something? It's like
maybe. I don't, yeah.
maybe not. Maybe he's like locked in the ark or something.
Yeah, I think that was like in the one before he was standing there. And then like the one that I'm talking about, like, yeah, it's just like,
They're
yeah,
closed off
they're
because of
closed in.
yeah.
But I just remember being like, Dad, no, this is not a healthy book for children to read. Like every second page, like God is killing somebody for not obeying. Like this just teaches blind obedience and like that you're gonna die and like that God needs to be feared. Like that's not what I want to teach my kids about the Bible. Like if I do teach them about the Bible at all. And he was like, you know what? He's like, you're actually right when you talk about it that way. And like when you think about some of those pictures, they're actually pretty graphic for kids. And I'm like, yes. So yeah, it's just that's what I mean. Like from day one, you're so brainwashed. Like they have these books just for kids, like
Mm-hmm.
to scare you from the start. And I was just, so yeah, I think that's when that was like playing in my head when I had my epiphany is like, I was looking at my newborn son and just like thinking about that picture, like,
Yeah.
we're gonna die.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so, just to backtrack, out of just sheer curiosity, what brought your parents into the religion?
They were both raised in it.
They both were raised in it. And then their parents, so your grandparents on both sides, did they seek it out when they like first, like, I'm not sure if your lineage first came to Canada around the time, like, your grandparents or your great grandparents.
I think, oh my gosh, now I have to like think about this. I believe all of my grandparents were born in Canada. Um, and most of my great grandparents were even witnesses. Like, so I don't even entirely know, to be honest, where it all came from in my family. Like, all my grandparents are still alive and they are all still witnesses.
Gotcha.
Um, my, I know my dad's dad came into it when he was 18 or 19, like when he left home. Was kind of making his own life. He met a Jehovah's Witness man who started studying with him, and that was that. Um, so as far as I know, like both my grandpas, I think, came into it, but that can't be right. My other grandpa, I think, was born into it too. Like we go back, like that's what I'm saying. Is like it's so like, because then when you think about like generational trauma too, right? Like generational anything is also passed down. So having all of my grandparents be either born into it or introduced to it at a very young age, like it's ingrained in them and then ingrained into my parents and all my aunts and uncles and then ingrained to like me and all my cousins, right? Like it's so like we
Deeply.
know that yeah, like generational trauma is passed down. So like things like that definitely are too, right?
And that's the thing I find so interesting about it is like it really blew up in like 1914. So when World War One happened, and it started out as like a ad in the paper saying, "Hey, the end of the world is happening. Join our church." And at that time, all the literature had the cross on it before that was eventually changed. And soon enough, the papers were like, actually, this isn't appropriate. And that's when the Jehovah's Witnesses and that organization created their own literature, which is the Watchtower and Awake. But
Yeah.
I do find it a very fascinating topic because when you think about, when people experience war and they're in that headspace, like what do people gravitate towards? Community.
Hope. Yeah.
And then over time, it just starts to shift and mold and mutate as, certain people, spread information and like the culture changes. And then I start thinking about why those books were produced. And it really, my mom said something so profound. She's like, the best recruitment for Jehovah's Witnesses is the next generation.
Yeah.
You can go
Because
door to door and convert as many people as you want, but if the children are born into it, they are going to be
they're indoctrinated for life.
indoctrinated. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is such a like I mean, frankly, that's how like our governments run things and like how like communist societies raise things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like at some point adults might stand up against things or whatever, but if you think about like child soldiers in like Africa or whatever, like yeah, if you get them when they're young enough and you just raise them that this is like normal and this is okay and like whatever, like that's that's literally how brainwashing works is you brainwash a child and you have them for life. Like that's it's so evil, but it's so smart. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I even think up too when it comes to like leadership in all the big corporations and businesses and stuff like that. Like, I think leading by inspiration is the future, but it's like if you want to get things done quick, fast, and dirty, use the basis of fear, shame, and guilt, and
yes.
you got it. And but also one thing I want to add as well is like it's so interesting in today's day and age. Like if and you have kids, you have to teach a child that you're like, okay, you can't touch the stove. The stove is hot. You got to teach them like fear. You got to know that there's a hierarchy in regards to respecting your parents and respecting your elders. And like, so there's a level of it that's like in harmony, but like this example is just taking it to the furthest degree possible.
Yes.
And so I know we can't live in a world of leading by inspiration, but we also need to also take the time that if you want people to be good people, like there's ways of doing that without having to
Yeah.
scare people into
Well, and
it.
that's like a big thing. Like you brought up, like my kids, like that's a big thing. Yes, with parenting is kids don't owe you obedience. They absolutely do not. They don't just like be born and go like, "Oh, you're my parent, I obey you." Like they don't. Trust me, I know I have two toddlers. They absolutely do not. You have to earn obedience from children. They're actually smart enough to know that. Whereas I feel like, yeah, if you want just results, fear, shame, and guilt. Absolutely, I could do that to my kids. And like, yeah, they would listen and it would change their behavior, but they'd be pretty scarred from it after a while, like as adults. So yeah, I have to earn their obedience and by getting them to trust me as their leader. And yeah, that's like leading by inspiration, like you said, or by example, or like whatever, all the other ways. But yeah, if you just want straight obedience, like nothing, yeah, fear, shame, and guilt is the way to get it. But that's not the healthiest way to get it, for sure.
Yeah. No, it's so true. And so, what I love as well, and I was just talking to a friend about this yesterday, like full transparency, I am a little church phobic after my experience and my leaving being a Jehovah's Witness. I am one of those people that I will go on my own terms.
Yeah.
I can't be forced. I've had so many people say, you should come to church. And my heart immediately starts to race. And I just tell people kindly, I'm like, I've done my time because I don't know how many hours I've sat in that seat,
A
you know.
lot.
Yeah, and honestly, I was drawing a lot of the time because like I think I was escaping maybe to some degree. I just the drills that kind of I find that have gone on. I went to a funeral, my grandpa's funeral a decade ago, and like the whole framework of the funeral was just like the same dictating scriptures, the same reinforcement that was so familiar. And for me, I just to be able to work through that. I feel like spirituality for me is beyond, the beyond the four walls, I guess, that I'm familiar with. But what I love is you've expressed that you've definitely explored spirituality on a religious sense since then in your way of healing. So I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, I am very much like you. I don't think spirituality is in four walls with somebody up there telling me how to interpret scriptures properly. No thanks. However, when my husband and I met, like I said, he was raised in a very Christian household and he was going to church every Sunday. And I actually really liked that about him. I was like, oh, okay, he's got like some good values and all the things. And because it was important to him, he never put pressure on me to go to church with him, and he understood my previous experience and like, because obviously it was something we talked about, and um, yeah, he never put pressure on me to go. But finally, after we've been dating a while, I was like, I'd like to come and see what it's all about because it's important to you. And we were seriously dating, and I was like, it's important to you, so I would like to see what it's all about. But I can tell you, I had like a full blown panic attack when I walked into the church. Um, it was so nerve wracking, and I just was like, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. And like everyone was like, are you okay? Because we went with some of his family, and they were like, you all right? And I was like, I'm just trying to not get like smited by lightning right now. I'm pretty sure God's gonna just forget Armageddon. I'm gonna die right this second. Like he's gonna decide it's time just because I need to die right now because this is so like out of my comfort zone and so out of like what we're taught like as Jehovah's Witnesses. Like you're entering false religion. Like now the demons are gonna get to you. Like like all the things that they say, like all the fire and brimstone. Like I was like, this is it. Like this is sealing my fate. I'm for sure dying in Armageddon now. Like forget all the other things I've done since I've left. Like this is the moment where I've like sealed my fate. Um, and it was terrifying just walking in there. But then like it got easier. Like I was just like, oh, okay, this is maybe kind of what church is kind of supposed to be like. Like it was funny. Everyone's wearing whatever they want to wear. No one's getting upset that women are wearing pants. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's so much like freedom and happiness and joy and like genuine people there. And I was like, okay, this is not so bad. Um, so then I went with him a few times. Like we kind of went semi regularly. And I still just always had like a big wall up surrounding like the teachings because I was just like, well, I don't know if that's how the Bible is supposed to be interpreted. That's definitely not the way I was taught. And like I like there was definitely a lot of feelings surrounding like the messages. But I always like enjoyed going for like the people in the community and like for what it was. Um, and then at one point, my brother-in-law, this was like after we were married, I think. My brother-in-law was singing at church, and we went to his church to see him sing. Um, and then when we moved out here, out of Calgary, then we tried to go to the church here, and it just didn't resonate for us. Like we were kind of just trying to like meet people and be part of the community and whatever. And everybody goes to church, and we were both just like, yeah, like that guy's preaching style just doesn't like resonate for us. And we also had a young child and he didn't want to sit still, and we were like, this is too much effort to go to church here.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something we've explored, and like I've explored like going into church, and it's just never really like resonated for me, teaching wise or otherwise. um I like the idea of going for like a sense of community and people who are like minded and just like all the things, right? Like I like it for that aspect. But I still find it very difficult to walk into a church, and I definitely don't always resonate with like the message. Um, but yeah, anyways, that's been kind of my experience going to
Hmm.
churches. It's always uncomfortable. I've tried a few times, and I just
Yeah. One thing I do find beautiful is I've gone to a few like Ukrainian Orthodox churches. Um, honestly, through my other work that I've done, I photographed a wedding, and there is something really beautiful about like the cathedral style
yeah,
buildings, and sometimes when they're singing the hymns, and there's something about like the little rituals that I think is cute and like
yeah.
beautiful in its own way. But I know it when they get down to like scripture and they get down to how we need to be, I struggle with it a lot because it was always like you have the free will, but you don't. And
Yeah.
this is how you need to be. And so it's one of those ongoing things of still
It's
unraveling.
that like you
Yeah.
have free will, but you'd better use it how you're told. It's
Hmm.
exactly how it is.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful because I think as time has gone on too, I've met a lot of people that have left being a Jehovah's Witness, and honestly, they were going through their whole transition of leaving, but we had nothing to, meet each other where we were at besides this trauma. And so it was kind of one of those things that like a lot of people have come and gone, but it's been so refreshing over the last few years connecting with you and connecting with a few other people that I know have left that have reached out, and just having that sense of understanding that you're not alone, because trying to explain it to people that have never participated in it, it can feel quite isolating.
Yes, absolutely. And we definitely all have our own kind of spin on things. And I find it like when I first left, I was kind of just seeking out everybody I knew who had left. Like, because I was just trying desperately to find like somebody who understood what I was going through and like meet me where I was at and like just help guide me through it. Because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing right now. Like, everything I've known for my entire 26 years of life, I've just abandoned. Like, I have no idea what life is anymore. And so I was just seeking out everybody that I could possibly think of that I knew that had left. And I had to stop doing that because I found that some people were really holding on to like the hate and the anger and the just whatever. Like they were just like not people that I enjoyed being around because yeah, they were just so angry all the time. They hadn't let that go. And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to move on with my life. Like how do I move on? and they were just so stuck in that place.
Yeah.
Um, so I really found that like I needed to find people who had healed a little bit more, and that were doing well in their life and whatever, as opposed to the people who are just stuck in their anger. You know what I mean? Because I was like, I didn't stop being a Jehovah's Witness to like, I was like, I always said, like, they took enough of my time and energy when I was in it. I'm not going to continue giving them my time and energy once I'm out. Like, that's just not what I'm here for. So as much as like these conversations can be very healing and stuff, like, I think you and I both come at it from a place of we are fairly healed, and there's still wounds that need to be healed, but
Mhm.
we're not stuck in a place of anger and hate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So there's value in like the healing for us, but I found that if I stayed with people who were too hateful and too angry, I was just like, no thanks, like that's not where I want to stay. I'm
Yeah.
trying to move past that.
Yeah, I think it's well, I don't know if it works for everyone, but I just remember like, as I left, as this metaphor of like diving off the deep end and like diving off the diving board into the deep end of the water and not really knowing what was on the other side. I always had this little glimpse of hope and inspiration and dreaminess that like my life could be better. And yeah, there's times where I talk to family, or I talk to other people, and it becomes like that person is using you as their safe space to kind of express. But it's true. It's like they say that people of lower frequency talk about other people, and then the next highest is we talk about current events and the state of the world, and then above that we talk about ideas. And so it's just wanting to stay in a high frequency, and
Yeah.
it's important, I think, to share these things, but at a certain point it's like, well, yeah, time has been taken. You can't change the past. There are certain components that I'm very grateful for, and I think having that gratitude of like knowing what your life could have been like, or just trying to take any stretch of good that came from it. Obviously, I think for both of us, like, we're extremely empathetic people, and this has taught us to be highly empathetic for other people that are dealing with their own struggle, whether that's religious or otherwise. And so I think it births opportunity. And so it's just, what do you want to replace that with? If with the religion's gone, what do you want to replace that with? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I totally agree.
And that's the thing I find so funny is I think after leaving, I think I'm more spiritual than ever. I feel like I'm more connected to whatever that is, source, God. Um,
Well, because it's on your terms, right? You're not being told how to connect with them, how there's like a correct way to do it and there's a bad way to do it, and you're being judged for the, like every misstep you make. Like it is more of a personal relationship because you're not relying on somebody else to facilitate it for you, like the religion or like the elders or like the hierarchy of the organization. Like you're not relying on that. It's yours. It's
yeah,
your relationship, how you want it to be. And like I mean that is kind of like the universal you, right? Like not just you specifically, but like that's exactly like I also feel more spiritual and more connected because it's on my terms. It's how I feel good about it. Um, I know somebody asked me once like what I was going to teach my kids about like religion or whatever. Um, and I just said, when my kids are old enough to start asking those questions, I'm going to help them find answers like they feel comfortable with, not because I told them to. Like, I'll gladly be like, okay, you have questions about what happened when we die. Like, great. Like, do you want to call like one of your aunts or uncles and ask them what they think? Like, do you want to go take like books from the library? Like, this is what I think. This is what Daddy thinks. Like, we can just have those open conversations and then be like, find what makes you feel comfortable. Like, what feels right in your heart? Like, what
yeah,
feels right with you? And somebody was just like, that is like the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. And I was like, well, thank you. That's just what makes sense to me.
I
But
love
that's because I was always like given answers. This is what you believe. Like, this is
totally.
right. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, I think we all deserve to find answers that make sense, that resonate for us and like what's right in our heart. So yeah, like of course we feel closer to a creator or spirituality or whatever at this point because it's ours.
Yeah. I know I was talking to someone recently that's an ex-witness with a teenage son, and kind of was interpreting it, just talking about specific topics, and was coming from the direction of allowing that child to have the discernment on their own. Planting the
Yeah.
seed, you know. I couldn't give you an example, but it was just one of those things where it was like, I'm not going to tell this child, but I'm going to lay both sides and be like, well, what do you feel? What do you think? Because I think creating a moral compass in a young individual is super important. It's necessary, but like, how do you build that without just, yeah, once again, repeating history, and you're dictating and you're telling an individual how to be? Allow them to make the decision, because in their heart they'll know the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I think that's exactly right. Like you just have to teach them what's right to them and like, yeah, how to make those decisions. Because we weren't taught how to make those decisions. We were just taught like, this is what you believe, and like that's it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't think it's our job as parents for the next generation to like guide what they believe as much as like how you believe things, like how you decide what you believe.
Hmm.
What I think.
Yeah. And I have to thank you so much. I was thinking a lot about writing the chapter for the Sovereign about my Jehovah's Witness experience. And I laughed too, because I wrote it in like an extended version of it. And then we were like, we got to reduce this. And I'm like, how do you reduce such a profound and powerful experience that has cliffhangers and so many different things? But I have to say that the experience really unearthed a lot of the trauma. And I'm
Yeah.
finding now, writing, speaking, it, it's almost like releasing out of my nervous system. Like I find my body shaking. I'm going through like a lot of different things as I'm navigating this, and I've had a lot of fear around sharing this very vulnerable side of me, because we were also raised that if we speak anything negative about the religion, even if it's our personal experience, we are blacklisted. We are considered an apostate, and it is literally so deeply rooted that that is the worst thing you could ever be on this earth.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That is like being an apostate, for anyone who doesn't know, is like an apostate is what they consider anyone who's like left and speaks badly about the religion. And that is literally the worst thing you can do. Like my mom will still talk to me on occasion, like we kind of go through ebbs and flows in our relationship. Um but she like point blank asked me at one point, she's like, are you an apostate? And I was like, depending on your definition of apostate, like you tell me. And she told me, and I was like, okay, then no. But then, by like the religion's standpoint, I probably am one. And like, I don't think it matters what they think of me and what they want to define me as. But that is truly the worst thing that you can possibly be in the eyes of any Jehovah's Witness or in the eyes of the organization. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you are the lowest of the low. So yeah, that's a whole thing, and I definitely understand what you mean by like, yeah, it's a lot to integrate, like speaking your truth while also knowing that that puts you on like an apostate level, and like that what people are going to think of you, and like all that stuff. Like
Yeah.
you're putting yourself in a position to be the lowest of the low, but also speaking your truth and honoring that.
Yeah, it's a very vulnerable position to be in, because also too, it's like I really try to not come from a place that I'm listing all religion. I've been so scared about being public about this side of my life, because I don't want to speak negatively about all religion. And I understand that life's completely nuanced. Like recently I had a family member that contacted a friend, and to pretty much in essence, it was very invalidating towards my experience, making me feel like my truth isn't valid. But then I also had to like flip the script and be like, well, in this person's experience, they actually thought the religion was great. And it's not my job to take that away from them either. Like my grandma, she only has so much time left. She really thinks that when this end of the world happens, she's going to be reunited to her husband. I don't want to take that away from her,
No.
but I think I'm just learning so much more about like the nuances of life, and both can be right, but it doesn't mean that you have to silence yourself, in your experience.
Well, I think that a part of that is also it's not our responsibility to control how other people react to what we say.
Hmm.
So we can speak about our personal experience and say like, yeah, that sucked. Like whatever. We didn't like that, so we left. But if somebody else wants to take that as a personal attack, that's up to them. Like we're just speaking our truth that it wasn't for us. And I remember when I first left, I said that all the time to people. I'm like, there are a lot of really good people who are Jehovah's Witnesses. There really are. Like, there's so many good people in there. I don't think that they're all bad people. I don't think like there's a lot of malicious intent like on, the surface level, like on the like the rank and file kind of level. I think there's some evil people higher up. But that's my personal opinion. Like, and it's like you don't need to blacklist the entire religion or religion entirely as a whole. Like if somebody else thinks it's right for them, who am I to say that it's not? Like I feel the same way about my mom and my grandparents and whatever, and like lots of my family that are in. I hope they never leave, and if they do, that they're happy. But like they're genuinely happy in there, and who's that for me to say that like they're not and that they should leave, right? Like that's not up to me. Just
I
like it's not up for them to say that I did the wrong thing.
Yeah, yeah. And I was talking to my one friend. She's been really trying to get me on the, what is it called? It's about like the Mormon wives, and pretty much, yeah. I haven't watched it yet, but
Me neither.
the way she described it, and I need to educate myself, but I thought it was fascinating from her interpretation. The Mormon wives are trying to evolve the religion to a point where the patriarchy does not control all of it. And I was like, what a beautiful way of, I don't want to change my faith. I believe in this, but I just want to change how things are run because things need to change. And I think that's beautiful. And if the religion can adopt different philosophies and grow and evolve, and the people at the top allow it, that's amazing. I think spiritual expression is so personal, and I think there's people that truly believe in it, heart and soul. And I hope that it can get to a point where it's not dictated through different ways of mind control.
Yeah.
But
I don't think the people at the top will allow that, but hey,
I don't know.
more power to you in trying to get there.
Yeah, I don't know. I know. And I encourage everyone. A lot of people might not understand, like, a lot of what we are sharing today, but there's so much information online. You can go on YouTube. There's tons of people that share their firsthand experience. Um, it goes very deep. And I feel like this will be a conversation of many. I feel like I've got a sister in you in the sense of like, there's a common ground, there's an understanding. It has been so heartwarming to meet you and not feel alone in this world, because the journey has been long and it has been hard,
Lonely at
lonely.
times.
Yeah. And so I'm extremely grateful to have you on today and just be able to like share a glimpse of similar life that we've lived, past life that we've lived.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for giving me a chance to share this story with you. And so I think, yeah, no one cares what I have to say, honestly, but everyone here is like here for you. So I'm glad that I was able to help you share your story too in the sovereign and in this way. And yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, I hope we can follow up again soon, and
we will.